Hey everybody, welcome to another bonus sort of mid-season break episode.
Another book club.
Another book club. This one is a little bit late, sorry. I was sick and I couldn't get the episode out.
And it took me 2 days to read it. It's a big book. It's 600 pages, you know.
As anybody who... Really?
There was like a preview for the next one in the series at the end, so I don't know how
Still,
many pages that took up, but at least 500.
That's a lot. For anybody who looked at the title, you know what we're talking about. For anybody who hates looking at the episode titles, because sometimes people don't look at episode titles, we are talking about the Da Vinci Code.
Now, let's talk about our experience with Da Vinci Code. I'm sure everyone's got some level of experience with the Da Vinci Code if they are our age or older.
Sure. If you're younger than us, maybe you got away with not thinking about the Da Vinci Code.
It largely slipped past you.
Slipped you by?
How did that happen?
Me?
Yeah.
I just didn't want to read it, and I didn't want to watch it, and then I never experienced it.
Do you recall its popularity at the time?
I remember it being incredibly popular. Everyone was talking about it.
We're talking around 2004,
I don't know what I was reading at the time or watching at the time, but it was not Da Vinci Code. I don't think I actively was like, oh, I'm not going to do the popular thing. I'm never going to read. I don't think I was being deliberately counter-cultural, deliberately... what's the word I want? Contrarian. But that was 2004. I was like, and then like 2005 or 2000, that kind of time, being anywhere from 13 to 16 or whatever in this sort of those year gaps.
Pre-peak contrarian.
That is probably, if I ever was a contrarian to culture, it was probably that's like the most peak contrarian, right? That's the peak, and even then, my peak was fairly low compared to a lot of people's. But maybe I decided not to do it because people were doing it. But I don't think so.
This is interesting. It did not pass me by whatsoever. I didn't watch the movie because movies are terrible compared to their books.
Sure.
I did read the book.
You read the book back then?
Many times.
Really?
I was big on the book.
How many times? Really? I never would have dated you if I'd known. This whole podcast wouldn't exist if I knew you. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding everybody. If you love the Da Vinci Code, you're fine. It was incredibly popular.
Yeah. I don't recall how much I was aware that it was incredibly popular, so I don't know when it hit at that sort of thing. I believe it was one of those ones that I read while at the family holiday house that has no electricity.
Cool.
And so you needed books, and that was one of the books that was there. Went for that one.
Cool.
But I very much enjoyed it. It was totally my thing, and I think as we go through it, we'll be able to figure out exactly why. But upon reread, this is the first time that I've reread it in 20 years.
Yeah, first time
all
you've
of
read
my
it
reading it then.
As an adult.
Yes, absolutely. And you can see definitely lots of things that you go, ooh, I understand why adults were critical of this in ways that I, as a 13-year-old, was not.
Just not written well, not...
Okay, so here's the thing. Everyone trashes the writing immediately and says it's just airport pulp. And says, oh, look at this sentence. Look how terrible this sentence is.
Sure.
I'm usually when someone just pulls a sentence out, sometimes it can be indicative of terrible work, but often it's just, no, without context, you can't tell how bad or good an individual sentence is.
No.
And honestly, a lot of it was very readable, but...
I will say, I'm reading a book at the moment, and I do often bother you to be like, here, let me read you this sentence out of context. Isn't that a good sentence?
No,
but
it's nonsense.
I think good sentences are easier to highlight than bad.
I'll definitely be able to find some bad sentences in here for you. But not bad as in their written construction, just as in
Her hair was the colour of
that's
hair.
what people sounded like. And
Sure.
you've got things like the main...
Oh, bad dialogue is easy to pick out.
The main character, Robert Langdon, is largely insufferable as a human.
Sure.
But things like that. In general, it's very readable. The biggest problem is that, it's posing itself as a historical mystery sort of thing that's going on. And as an adult, much more than as a 13-year-old, every other sentence when a character explains some fact, my instincts immediately blare, oh, I gotta fact check that. That doesn't feel right.
That can't be true.
13-year-olds don't know that they can do that and should do that.
Do you know that Da Vinci was 17 times older than anyone else in the world? Really? Yeah, he was 1700 years old.
There were a lot of moments where I had to not go on fact check something just because I knew it was going to make it take 5 times as long to read as it should.
Fair. Do you have any examples of fact checkable things that you fact checked?
Okay, things like there is one of these instances where he's doing a flashback to explaining to one of his university lecture classes the importance of phi in nature, golden ratio.
Sure.
And just going, I'm pretty sure that I have heard people say this is all actually nonsense and not as much of a thing in nature as he's putting forward. Let's quickly look that up.
Yeah.
And yeah, it seems from the briefest of fact checks kind of,
Yeah, people often stretch to try and make this thing work. There was one thing and now there are two things. It's the golden ratio.
Yeah,
That's fair.
That sort of thing. It's like saying, well, I mean, for one thing, he says that the golden ratio is exactly 1.618 or something. Well, that already doesn't make much sense to be able to give an exact number for it.
Yeah, true.
Things like that. But for the most part, especially when it got too deep into church and religion and, well, history, I just sort of blanked out and went, I'm going to asterisk this in my head, but let's assume it's true in the book universe.
Sure, okay.
But the reason that I want to talk about it today is not like the merits of it as a book.
No, fair enough. This isn't a book club about literature. This is a book club about puzzles.
And I thought it was actually really important to discuss what the Da Vinci Code has done for escape rooms. Like
That's
10
fair.
years before escape rooms existed.
I mean, look, my first thought when I think about Da Vinci Code and escape rooms, before I think about any sort of like puzzles or whatever, or mysteries or anything like that, I just think about the fact that you can buy cryptexes, and they were apparently invented in the Da Vinci Code.
Very much one of the important things to go into.
Who's Justin Nevins, the cryptex guy? He's just like, I make cryptexes and I sell them, and no one else is allowed to do it. I'm the cryptex guy.
You know, the most interesting part of that is that, so yeah, cryptexes as a device were just a thing made up for the Da Vinci Code. In the book, they were one of Da Vinci's original designs that he never put forward, that he never actually created.
All true.
And an in-character in the book took the old designs and went, I reckon I could make that, and made a real one, which is exactly what happened.
Someone did. Someone read the book and went, I reckon I could make that, and made a real one.
Yeah, that again. Did Leonardo ever actually do something like that? Couldn't be bothered looking that up.
Can I ask you? I know. There's a book to talk about. Can I talk about cryptexes for a second?
Mm-hmm.
I've never gotten what they are in a way that is interesting, because
that's not just a combination lock.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, it's a secret Da Vinci thing. It's a combination lock, except the combination lock is on the outside of a sleeve, and then you pull it away, and then there's stuff inside it. Is that all it is?
We can talk about that when we get to the cryptex.
I've never interacted with a cryptex in modern context. It seems like it's a combination lock.
Well, I'll tell you
but I separated the tumblers with like a couple of inches of material.
Yeah, I'll tell you how they get through it in the book.
Sure. Please, let me know.
What that ends up being. The one other thing that we have as far as Da Vinci Code goes, it's possibly one of the most popular escape room themes that exists, to the point
that is true.
It is a
lot
cliche
of Leonardo's
theme.
workshop.
Yeah, so much so. And number 2, it helped us win Pointless.
That is true. The biggest extent of my Da Vinci Code knowledge is from having questions about the Da Vinci Code on Pointless. And I think just doubling down on your answer of, yeah, Ron Howard directed that. No one's going to know that.
And it's true. Ron Howard movies are impossible.
No one ever knows. If you have a piece of trivia which is Ron Howard directed this movie, no one knows it.
You're going to forget.
You're going to forget it. But also, if you ever have it in your head, just say it and be like, this is the most obscure fact anyone knows about this movie, is that Ron Howard directed it.
It's a 50-50 gamble. Actually, no, you know what? It's a 3-way gamble. It could be Howard. It could be Zemeckis. It could be Reiner.
Yes.
Those three can be difficult to tell a style.
And I don't want you to think that we're here bashing Ron Howard. No,
Certainly not.
The point is that he directs to what the film needs.
He's a chameleon.
He makes good movies that are not like, look at me, I'm Ron Howard. They're, look at Tom Hanks, he's Robert Langdon. You know, and it serves. Is that his name?
Yeah, it is. I just forgot for
that was Tom Hanks.
The character in the books and Tom Hanks do not go together, but okay.
So yeah, I'm not saying this is not a comment on the quality of Ron Howard's directing. It's just because he changes his style to match the script, or at least doesn't have a super overt style. People don't recognize when something was directed by Ron Howard.
All right, so yeah, so knowing a little bit about Da Vinci Code, more the movie, but some of the stuff in the book as well. It helped us win the show. That was nice.
It did help us win the show.
Okay. So, let's go into this. You, like we did with Del Toro Quest, what do you know? What do you got on the story here?
I'll tell you everything I know about the Da Vinci Code.
Explain these 500 plus pages to me.
Robert Langdon
Mhm.
is a professor
Yes, he is.
at whatever the fanciest school Dan Brown could think of is,
Uh-huh.
which was Cambridge,
Oh, he is not English.
Harvard.
Yes.
Okay, he's a Harvard professor, and I feel like you mentioned this to me while you were reading.
Yep.
That he is a professor of symbology,
This is correct.
which is not a thing, right?
Yep.
I would like to go on record. I love that. I think that's great. I think if you're going to make a professor for your mystery thing, inventing an entire field of study for him is great. I think that's lovely. I would do that if I was writing a book. I'd be like, what are they a professor of? Okay, what's the book about? It's about finding toads in the forest, and the toads have magical powers. I'm a professor of toad magic. What? Yeah, we study that all the time at Harvard. I'm putting it in there.
Mhm.
He's a symbology professor.
Mhm.
And he discovers, he's like, I've uncovered an ancient conspiracy that Leonardo da Vinci met Jesus and buried Jesus in a tomb, and then this happened, and then the Knights Templar don't want you to know that Leonardo da Vinci was friends with Jesus, and they're
funny,
going to stop
actually.
me. And then he goes around, and then Paul Bettany turns up, and he's like, I'm the Knights Templar. I don't want anybody to know that Leonardo da Vinci was friends with Jesus. I'm going to kill you, Robert Langdon. And so he runs through an ancient mausoleum, and then he finds the bones of, I don't know why I think Jesus is involved. I think he is. He finds the bones of Jesus, and he's like, look, everybody, it's Jesus's bones. And then he finds a note that says, from Leonardo da Vinci, that says, to find these bones, look to my paintings. And then he goes to the paintings, and he's like, if you steal the Mona Lisa and you scratch the back off the wood, there's a map that says Jesus was buried here. This is my understanding of Da Vinci Code. Am I close?
What I will go with, I think you have uncovered the first draft of the book. So much of that is not correct, and yet, in essence, you've got the feel.
I'm going to get on Block Blunders.
You've got a different Dan Brown book. I'm sure that he has written this at some point. It's more or less correct.
Hey, everybody at home, this is a weird thing to say, but if you're ever a guest on Block Blunders, make sure you look at the cast list.
Yes.
So that you can guess all of the characters and try and make up a story where one person's like, he's credited as Jesus' butler? All right, well, I guess Jesus has a butler in this one. That's how you play the game.
Should we be doing that right now? Should you be looking up the movie cast list?
No. We're not doing Block Blunders. I'm not stealing from my brother. Anyone can go listen to Block Blunders if you want.
Right.
We're doing book blunders.
Okay.
Oh, can we do a Block Blunders offshoot called Book Blunders, where we get people to talk about books they've never read?
Totally.
Oh, Book Blunders.
Now, one other aspect that about 3/4 of the way through rereading this book I noticed was I feel like the structure of some of the aspects of this book's structure remind me of an episode of House.
Oh, okay.
With that in mind, how do you think the book begins?
Well, House always started off by showing us someone getting hurt, or, as the seasons progressed, showing us someone who you were so sure was about to get hurt. You're like, that's a person going to get sick. And then the camera whips to the left and someone else gets sick. You're like, ha.
This is a classic, maybe let's consider it a slightly crappier House episode, if such a thing exists.
Because, yeah, late House was always just someone going like, I'm feeling faint. Oh no, I'm feeling faint.
Everybody, this guy over here's bleeding out of his ears.
Oh, and I just had a slight cough. I'm fine. So that happens.
Yeah, we begin in the Louvre with the curator is being chased and he gets shot.
By the Knights Templar?
Mystery figure.
Mystery figure
gets, so he's running through the museum, and what he does, he grabs a Caravaggio off the wall and hurls it to the ground, setting off the building's alarm systems. So, like, gated doors come down.
Smart guy. That's a smart curator.
He's separated from his would-be murderer, but the dude has a gun, so
he shoots him, okay.
Still gets shot in the
Still,
stomach.
it's a good thing, man, running for your life. And be like, I know, if I pull a Caravaggio off the wall, they'll say, that's great, smart guy. Sad he died.
So he gets shot in the stomach. And the dude, the bad guy, has the very classic, that's okay, I'll shoot you in the head and get this done with. Click. Oh, no more bullets. Oh, well, you're going to die anyway. You've been hit in the stomach. Let's walk away now.
Come on, man.
And that said, it's true.
I'd kill you if I had my gun.
As the curator points out, with a wound like this, he's only got about 15 minutes to live. And getting through all of the security systems to find him will take longer than that.
So he, in his blood, he writes on the wall, Da Vinci knew Jesus. ...
You're not on quite the wrong track. He certainly tries to leave some sort of message behind. We hear his inner narration say, if I die, the murderer also says he's killed 3 other people tonight. And all of them have told him the same thing, the same lie. He doesn't know it's a lie, but they've orchestrated some sort of lie to protect a secret that they have. And then this curator goes, oh, crap. But if all 4 of us are dead, the secret will be lost.
Ah, so he wrote down on the wall that Da Vinci loved Jesus.
Actually, that's not quite what happened. So we then cut to Robert Langdon.
Sure. Smoking a pipe, eating a donut.
He's just hanging in Paris. He was doing something. He was actually supposed to meet the curator earlier that night, but he never showed.
Okay, fair. He's dead.
For some reason.
Dead, shot in the stomach.
He gets a call from the police saying,
oh, okay, I like it.
We're coming to see you. This dude is very dead.
But he wrote
and
in
he
blood.
was in your day planner. So
Okay.
we want to know, you were meant to meet with him tonight. What the hell, man? And they show him a picture of him and eventually, as police do, go to take him to see the body
Sure.
inside the Louvre. And let's have a go.
Are you going to show me a puzzle?
No,
Oh, okay.
I'm going to give you
You look like you were ready to
description.
show me a puzzle.
Mm.
Because that's what we should do here. Del Toro Quest was just an escape room. I want to do puzzles.
The pallid corpse of Jacques Saunier lay on the parquet, I'm not sure of that word, floor, exactly as it had appeared in the photograph. As Langdon stood over the body and squinted in the harsh light, he reminded himself, to his amazement, that Saunier had spent his last minutes of life arranging his own body in this strange fashion. Saunier looked remarkably fit for a man of his years, and all of his musculature was in plain view. He had stripped off every shred of clothing, placed it neatly on the floor, and lain down on his back in the center of the wide corridor, perfectly aligned with the long axis of the room. His arms and legs were sprawled outward in a widespread eagle.
Oh,
like
he's a
those of child making a
Vitruvian
snow angel.
man.
Or like a man being drawn and quartered by some invisible force. Just below Saunier's breastbone, a bloody smear marked the spot where the bullet had pierced his flesh. The wound had bled surprisingly little, leaving only a small pool of blackened blood. Saunier's left index finger was also bloody, apparently having been dipped in the wound to create the most unsettling aspect of his own macabre deathbed. Using his own blood as ink and employing his own naked abdomen as a canvas, Saunier had drawn a simple symbol on his flesh. 5 straight lines that intersected to form a 5-pointed star.
Okay, so he's a little Vitruvian man, and he drew a little star. Does a Vitruvian man have a star? I don't think so.
Not seemingly so, but
he is making a
that's
star.
what Robert Langdon, expert symbologist, can go into, talking about all of the symbology behind what a pentacle means.
Sure. And what does a pentacle mean?
Blah, 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 women.
Women?
Essentially, yada, 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 pagan stuff, yada, 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 women worship.
Okay, that's weird.
And then, what they come to the realization is the police have already figured this out. There must have been something else that he had on him. Because what happens next is, well, there's blood on the scene. They bring in their forensic blood searching. What sort of blood stuff would have been done in 2004?
Get a light, the appropriate color UV, check for all the blood.
They do some UV checking.
Nice.
And in doing so, they realize that Saunier must have had an invisible pen on him. An invisible ink pen. Because there is some blacklight writing on the screen.
Come on, man. He's not. So he's drawing in blood on his stomach while also having written a whole bunch of messages in his secret invisible ink pen, which he didn't need. He could have just had the invisible ink pen. They would have gone, oh, here's an invisible ink pen. Does he write anything? And okay. He has an invisible ink pen and he writes everywhere.
Well,
that's classic escape rooms. Now, I can see why you're looking at it being like, this is what made escape rooms want to do escape room stuff.
For all I know, this is why all escape rooms have black lights in them.
It might be.
So from here, they find the message that is on the floor, and it is these 3 lines right here. Is this familiar to you? Has this crossed the cultural barrier?
13-3-2-21-1185. Oh, draconian devil. Oh, lame saint. No.
This hasn't hit you? This is fascinating, because I remembered this from 20 years ago.
Being like, oh, you draconian devil, you lame saint.
Certainly not, but I never forgot it.
So obviously, I want to quickly just do a quick little alphabet cipher. Is this the kind of book where, like, obviously 13 is going to be like an M, right? Maybe. I'm not sure. MC? B? That doesn't... McB? Okay, maybe it's not as simple as that. What's 21? U. Yeah, it's probably not MCBUAA.
Doesn't seem to be.
Okay. Never mind. Well, I don't know what those numbers are.
So at this point, the police...
You draconian devil.
The police tell Langdon, that's okay, we've sent this to our cryptographers, they're probably going to work something out. And they will. But in the meantime...
Sent to the cryptographers. You've got the professor of symbology right there.
Obviously, they're chatting and they're very confused, and like Langdon very much agrees with the police officer on 2 points. One, they're in France. This is written in English. That's weird.
So it was written for Langdon.
But isn't it kind of weird that whatever this was a murdered man's last thoughts? And they both agree, surely you'd just write down the name of your killer.
Maybe that was the name of his killer, McBaoua.
Well, the cryptologist now comes on the scene. Her name is Sophie.
Sure.
She also happens to be the murdered man's granddaughter.
Oh, no.
Mm.
Get a different cryptologist, everybody.
They didn't know when they sent it off.
Oh.
It wasn't a close association.
I hope she recuses herself from the case.
They'd been estranged for 10 years.
Okay, fair.
But yeah, she just got the photos sent in with the weird codes next to his mutilated body. And she just basically took that and walked out and came straight here.
Sure.
And she explains the numbered part, at least. She explains the numbers of these codes very simply.
Okay. Oh, she has an explanation right here?
She says, yeah, sorry, they're just sort of his fun little thing. Anything... Do you know anything about these numbers?
They're all prime. They're not all. Are they? No, they're Fibonacci sequence.
They are all just Fibonacci numbers rearranged.
Yeah. So it's 1, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 5, then 8, then 13, then 21. So he's just
so Sophie
rearranged
comes
the
onto the
Fibonacci
scene and
sequence.
says, "Yep, sorry, it's Fibonacci numbers. Don't know what to tell you."
Why has he rearranged them in such a pattern?
That's indeed the question. And she just goes, "Doesn't matter. Whatever."
Good work.
She then says that she's going to leave because they clearly don't respect her work.
Okay.
But also, she manages to get a hidden message to Robert Langdon telling him, hey, you should hide in the bathroom where I can have a meeting with you because you are in big trouble right now.
Oh no, Langdon.
Because what the police force did not tell him was that there was another blacklight line under these ones.
Oh no.
And it said, P.S. Find Robert Langdon.
Why wasn't that shown the first time? Why did they stop at Oh Lame Saint?
Because they were trying to trap him into admitting that he had been here or trying to give himself away in some fashion.
Okay. It was there. It was deliberate on the parts of the police.
Yes, the police absolutely think that he murdered this guy.
Sure. Because he wrote down the name of his killer.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, fair. He said, find Robert Langdon, with the implication that guy killed me. He didn't.
So, hence begins the whole, oh no, we've got to solve this mystery while running away from the police hijinks. Really, there are only like 3 important locations in this book. Everything else is just need to get away from police. It's an escape room meets hunted.
Sure.
But right before they actually leave the Louvre,
Sure, they leave the lead.
they figure out what the other lines mean.
Oh, draconian devil. Draconian things are specifically named after like a guy, right?
Sure.
Draco.
Sure.
But they're really talking about Machiavelli,
Mm-hmm.
the most draconian devil. You lame saint. Who's a lame saint? Who's a famously lame saint?
Couldn't tell you. But you're falling into the trap that the characters do, which is overthinking what you need.
Oh,
which is what was done to the first line? Numbers? Yeah,
they
what
were
was
rearranged. So I should rearrange all of these. They're all anagrams.
Yes.
Oh, draconian devil
Is an anagram?
Leonardo da Vinci.
Yes.
Fun. Someone had so much fun with that.
Oh, lame
That's
saint.
great. And Oh Lame Saint is Oh Lame Saint. Leonardo da Vinci is
First word is the.
Leonardo da Vinci. I don't know, what is it?
The Mona Lisa.
The Mona Lisa. Oh, lame saint.
So they go over to the Mona Lisa and they run their blacklight over it, and he is blacklit
Hey,
scrawled
you know what?
on the
Can I
Mona
just
Lisa.
take a second?
Uh-huh.
As a little fun puzzle. I don't hate it.
It's
2 anagrams, and then the first line is indicating you should anagram. This is the Fibonacci sequence.
Totally.
But it's out of sequence. So maybe the next 2 lines are out of sequence. And if you read, that's great. You know what? I was fully prepared to think that all the puzzles and stuff in this were going to be silly. And obviously, They're incredibly silly, especially in the context of a book that is meant to be like real stuff. But for escape rooms, I don't hate it. I think that's a fun little puzzle.
It's interesting. Obviously, as far as anagrams go, those are too long.
Oh,
but
yeah. Hugely.
We have the context of being inside the Louvre right now, so ideally that should help. These characters very frequently are overburdened by knowledge, which is certainly a thing that you can see in escape rooms when you do them. The characters know too much. And it's bizarre how much they know in certain fields and how little they know in their own fields sometimes. It goes very back and forth. But yeah, Robert Langdon just knows everything about everything. It's fascinating.
Cool.
But because of that, he goes, okay, yeah, Draconian Devil. Let's analyze exactly what that means, exactly what someone in the curator's position would have believed that it meant, and let's go deep into this, as opposed to anagrams. So they go to the Mona Lisa. There is more writing scrawled on the Mona Lisa.
He wrote on the Mona Lisa? What the hell are you doing? Wait, he's dead. When did he write on the Mona Lisa?
While he was dying, and miraculously the bullet wound leaving no blood anywhere.
That's nonsense.
He crawled up and down this part of the gallery.
That's ridiculous.
No, it's okay. The characters say it's very plausible that he could have done all this in the time that he was alive.
Hey, characters, you're wrong. It's not plausible.
I assume that Dan Brown went to the Louvre and crawled around for a while to figure it out.
Sure.
I find that one of the more believable things.
I have a bullet wound. I'm dying. I'll be dead so soon. Let me write a little anagram and then draw on my chest. And now I have to crawl to the Mona Lisa. I've done it. I've written another little anagram. I'll crawl back to my original position. Now I'll take my clothes off and I'll fold them up.
Yeah, folding them up and putting them in a neat pile was an interesting addition.
Oh, I still have 14 minutes left. Well, I guess I'll just lie here for a while.
Yeah, no pain writhing or anything.
Wait, I'll go back with a mop and I'll get the blood that I left in the hallway. Can't leave the blood. I need to lead them to the Mona Lisa, but if I leave a blood trail, that's too obvious. Wait, why did I come back from the Mona Lisa? Why didn't I just go die over there? That would probably get them to the Mona Lisa even faster. Well, I've made my bed, and I must lie like a star in it as I die.
So the one on the Mona Lisa says, "So dark the con of man." To which, again, Langdon goes, oh, yep, see, it makes perfect sense. The pentacle stuff was all about the goddess worship and things like that, and about the idea of the church repressing that idea and repressing paganism. That's what this is talking about. So dark the con of man. It's talking about church stuff.
No, it was probably another giant anagram.
And this time, Sophie is the one who goes, look, I missed the first one. I'm not missing another anagram. Come on, man.
And this rearranges to?
Madonna of the Rocks, another painting.
Do they have to go to that painting and check it?
Yes, they do.
This guy's just... Okay. Again, escape room-wise, fun. Book-wise, what the hell are you doing? Stop it.
I am missing out the being on the run and the security guards with guns and the threatening to break priceless paintings in order to get away. I'm skipping all of that
Good,
stuff.
thank you for skipping all of that. This is ridiculous.
On the back of that painting?
What was he just? Didn't he close all? Wasn't the whole point that all the security barriers
I
were
don't
closed?
know where these barriers are and how many there are. Okay, he's in a wing of some sort.
This guy's ridiculous.
He is in the hallway with all the famous ones in it, and that's it.
I got no bullets left. I can't shoot him in the head. But what's he gonna do? Crawl through the museum from exhibit to exhibit, leaving
You know how
secrets?
you know that Dan Brown actually went and crawled around the Louvre to figure this out?
How?
Because there is a section of the book where Robert Langdon, again expressing that he knows everything about everything, talks about the concept of like the quick race through the Louvre where you see the 3 major exhibits and people see how fast they can see them all. And his time is like 5:22 or something.
You weren't crawling on the ground with a gunshot wound.
No, but he's just saying he clearly has done his work for seeing how long it takes to get from one part of the Louvre to another.
Can you imagine? It's 2003. No one's ever heard of the Da Vinci Code. You're at the Louvre, and an American man in a suit and tie with a little hat, you look down, he's crawling past you,
punching
on the ground,
himself in the stomach just for the realism.
And you're like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm doing research for my book. Leave me alone. I'm Dan Brown. Who's Dan Brown? Oh, one day you'll know my name.
So on the back of this
Give me a year, and you'll think back on this moment, and you'll say, I saw Dan Brown. This is his voice, by the way.
Yeah.
Crawling along the floors of the Louvre.
On the back of Madonna of the Rocks is what we are told right away is a key.
Okay, great. Escape room. Let's do it.
Interesting, it's a key that Sophie remembers from her childhood. She remembers she saw this key once, and grandfather said it was the key to a box that holds some big secrets in it, because that's what kids remember. And so they've got this, and they're trying to figure out, what on earth does this go to? What church should we take this to, since this is clearly a religious thing in nature? Look, it's even got a cross on top.
Okay.
It also has the letters PS on it, which have come up many times. Remember?
No, it doesn't. It has the letters SB on it.
Remember how it said, PS, find Robert Langdon? Sophie knew this was a message to her because her childhood nickname was Princess Sophie.
No, you didn't! Does she just go from person to person and grab letters out of their hand and says, that one's for me,
Not
idiot?
only that, Robert Langdon says, actually, all of these PSs have another meaning. Your grandfather was part of a secret sect called the Priory of Sion.
It means postscript! You put it after the script to say I've got another message for you.
Now, this is the interesting part of the book, because I didn't remember this, but I saw someone online point it out, and I noticed how true this was. Robert Langdon already knows everything. He is solving no mystery in this book. Right at the start, he goes, oh my god, this is all about the Priory of Sion. Here, Sophie, you're the one who doesn't know anything. I will explain to you everything about this secret society and the secret that they're trying to protect, because coincidentally, that's the book I'm writing at the moment that's about to be published.
So he doesn't even do it.
I know everything about this.
So what is the book? Why does
And then it just takes 500 pages for him to piece out that information to us.
That's so ridiculous.
Including a part where she goes...
I'm still not over PS. I'm still not over seeing PS Robert Langdon. And then be like, I knew that was a message to me, not Robert Langdon, because PS is my initials as a child. Is insane.
Like I said, these characters overthink a lot. But yeah, so they look at this and a big thing. They think they've got to go to a church somewhere because it's got a cross on it. And they go, no, it's not a Christian cross. It's just a normal 4-pronged cross, like all of even length.
Sign.
Yeah. So it's got to be something even older than Christianity. Who knows? And then I can't remember quite how they figure it out, but eventually they facepalm themselves and go, oh, no, wait, that's a symbol of the Swiss bank. That's a Switzerland.
All right, there you go, Swiss bank key.
So this key, which Sophie has a curious back and forth on whether she knows that it's a key or not. Like, to the point, Robert Langdon does not recognize it as a key until she says that it's a key.
Oh.
Because it's a weird electronic style one. It's just got funny etchings on it rather than
like
key
a
prongs.
USB.
Sure, sorta. But she recognized it as a key when she was a child of 6 or whatever.
She's just smarter
and
than
then
Robert
she
Langdon.
recognized it when she pulled it off the back of the painting, but then later on she had to examine it closely to figure out what it was, and then Langdon didn't know what it was. That was a funny one.
You know this key I found? Yeah. It's not really a key, is it? Yeah, good point.
But so, again, action shenanigans. They make their way
Nice.
to this Swiss bank, which is like one of these ones that has just serious vaults.
Sure.
And they go,
Not a
great.
serious vault.
Look, this is such a serious vault. We understand that you probably inherited this. Like, these things are multi-generational.
Sure.
So we'll leave you in the room in private. You put in your key. You put in your account number. You can
But she doesn't
take
have
a
an
look at
account
what's
number.
in there.
It's 13 21 8 1 5 5 1 13 or
They
whatever.
freak out about not having the account number for a while, and then they realize, wait, that's the 10 digits that we need.
Yeah.
So they put that in, but it's one attempt, or they're locked out if they get it wrong.
Okay.
And they look at it and they go, no, this feels too random. Let's actually put it in order for the Fibonacci sequence.
Oh, okay, that seems weird, but
Which
sure.
is interesting, though, because there are an awful lot of codes in escape rooms where if you get something that seems random, it very well may be.
True.
And you may have to do more to it to make it have meaning.
True.
So
Usually there's
You can see that sort of
an
connection.
indicator, but yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
So they put that in, and what comes out is a box, and inside is the magical cryptex. And
We got a cryptex.
I can give you a description.
Give me the description of a
it.
cryptex.
Just gotta find. I wrote down page 257.
We're 257 pages in, everybody, and we found a box.
Yes, we have changed location once. Crafted of polished white marble, it was
Okay.
a stone cylinder, approximately the dimensions of a tennis ball can. More complicated than a simple column of stone, however, the cylinder appeared to have been assembled in many pieces. 5 donut-sized discs of marble had been stacked and affixed to one another within a delicate brass framework. It looked like some kind of tubular, multi-wheeled kaleidoscope. Each end of the cylinder was affixed with an end cap, also marble, making it impossible to see inside. Having heard liquid within, Langdon assumed the cylinder was hollow.
And full of liquid.
And each of the 5 discs had been carefully carved with the same unlikely series of letters, the entire alphabet.
That's not that unlikely. If I was going to put a series of letters on a series of twisty tubes to put in a code,
fit them all.
I'd probably put the whole alphabet.
Anything catch your attention about that?
It's got liquid in it.
Yeah.
That's weird.
So this was a fail-safe mechanism. If someone tried to break it, it usually contained a message written on papyrus,
So the liquid
and it was
ruin
surrounded
it.
by vinegar, which apparently would super destroy papyrus. I don't know enough about the reaction of papyrus and vinegar to know why that combination
Yeah, but that
was
feels
worse
like
than any other.
That's the sort of thing that if you put it in a book, I assume you were going to say water, and then you did some research and you found out that vinegar is more likely.
Yeah,
and
like-
then I
like-
just trust you. I just trust you that you came up with that because you Googled it.
I just went, oh yeah, sure, feels safer than the old-fashioned matches with acid in them that you had to
Yeah.
bite down on to break, that sort
Yeah.
of thing. But yeah, so that's what they've got. And it's a 5-letter combination lock that they've essentially got to solve.
Vinci.
They
Jesus.
they actually do try a bunch of different bits and pieces of
Mona L.
likely words.
Combo.
One other thing that shows you a few of the words that they're looking for is that what Langdon explains to Sophie this secret society was about.
Oh, yeah.
It dates back so many years. So like 2,000 years, this society or whatever.
Sure.
And they are hiding a huge church-breaking secret. And the only word that seems to be popping up over and over again,
Jesus.
why he is doling out this information when he knows so much more, but he
Yeah,
just gives
It
this
just gives us a little bit.
one word, 8 letters, Sangreal.
Sangreal?
To which Sophie, this is an interesting point, immediately goes, oh, like sang like blood?
Yeah.
To which
that's what I was
Langdon
thinking.
goes, yeah, sure. But also, Sangreal translates to
Could be a-
Holy Grail.
I was going to say like Saint Grail. Okay, so the Holy Grail.
So, and then it's just, oh, yes, but the Holy Grail might not be what you think it is, but question marks. Even though.
How do I get... What's a 5-letter word for a nondescript cup that isn't that fancy? That I've chosen wisely?
So, yeah, despite the fact that he knows a lot more than this is what he's giving Sophie right now. So she's like trying to put Grail in and things like that.
Grail?
Makes
No,
sense.
Idiot.
After messing around with it for a chunk of time longer, they realize one of the ends pops off and reveals some carved writing in it as a hint
There's
to the
a
word.
hint.
Yeah,
There's
there
a
is
hint.
actually a
Of
hint
course
to
there's
it.
a hint. What's the hint? Give me a hint about Saint-Réal.
Okay, I'm going to have to jump a little more for this one. This is actually harder than it felt initially. This
Sure.
is something that this electronic copy that I've got is more difficult than the hard copy version was. I'll see if I
wonder
can find
why. I don't understand how that could be true. And I'm intrigued to find out.
it. This might take me a minute to find. I didn't write down what page this was for some reason.
Oh, dang. I'll just leave you to it.
As they are in the process of this, they visit another one of his historian friends who's a super expert on Holy Grail studies, to the point where, yet again, is like super published on this matter. All of these characters, this is no secret.
So there's not actually uncovering an ancient secret that nobody knows. They're just being, like, the guy was like, no one's going to know my secret. And then it turns out that everybody knows his secret.
Yes.
It's just like, no, this is a completely known secret.
Yes. It is
Nothing's
just,
being
maybe you'll
uncovered.
get an extra bit of proof
The
here.
guy who's walking around shooting people in the stomach over and over again all night in Paris could have just read a book and he'd be fine. He could just be like, oh, wait, all of the secrets are written in this journal by Robert Langdon and his friend.
So what they actually determine is that it was a big church conspiracy, this Sangreal nonsense, to say that Jesus was mortal and not as divine as the church likes to pretend.
What?
And the proof of this is that he could have sex with a human woman and produce a child.
Okay, that's classic. That's a classic thing.
Yeah. No, this is super new. But to which then Sophie goes, oh my God, it's not Sangreal, it's Sangreal, royal blood.
Oh,
Which again-
Robert Robert Langdon, she said blood, and you were like, no, idiot. And she was right.
This reminds me of the third Twilight book, which I did not finish.
Langdon?
But I recall this happening in the third Twilight book, where at the beginning, some mysterious vampire has broken into her room and rummaged through her things, and she goes, oh no, they were trying to get to the Cullens. And then 2/3 of the book later, they go, oh, they didn't break into my room to get to me. They did it to get closer to the Cullens.
You already said that.
Yes, it was about then that I stopped reading.
Fair. Well, that's ridiculous. Song
And so then
Royal.
they go with the idea that this holy grail that is being searched for is, one, some documents that prove this.
Sure.
And
I have a
two,
birth certificate for Jonathan Jesus.
and two, Mary Magdalene's bones, because the secret society is women worshippers.
Sure. Okay.
And so
you need a bone.
that's what they're going for.
So is the conceit here that Mary Magdalene was the mother of Jesus' child?
Yeah, of course. And that anything about her being a prostitute and stuff like that, that was all
Oh, to cover
divinity
up.
slander. She was actually royalty herself.
Ah,
And so that's why
royalty.
this is all royal blood. It was actually two royal lineages coming together.
If there's anything that is true of the Jesus story, it's that he only hung out with royals and people of vast wealth and power. That was his whole shtick. He was like, blessed be the powerful, for they shall inherit the earth.
Yep.
The meek can get out of here. Who needs them?
We also have the interesting point where Sophie then goes, oh, no, like, I know that my grandfather was at the head of this secret society and that there was some weird family shenanigans going on. Her family was murdered when she was little, blah, 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 blah. He was going to tell the truth about her family. And she goes, oh, am I a descendant of Jesus? To which Robert Langdon goes, no.
Just no. No, you're not.
No, I have researched the family names of the people on this family tree,
Why
and
is this a
yours isn't
mystery?
one of them.
He knows everything
It's
already.
fascinating.
Why were they pretending that this was a secret? Apparently everybody knows.
Ah.
This is ridiculous. Really, the whole story is just a guy died, not realizing that everybody already knew his secrets. He
Alright.
didn't need to crawl for 15 minutes through intense pain, dragging his failing body through the hall of the Louvre. He could have just written, yeah, you're right. Jesus, like that Jesus thing that you're all talking about, you are correct. Yeah.
It's just so interesting that the man who knows everything is the main character.
Yes, he doesn't have
It's
to
very
learn anything. He
unusual.
just keeps walking around being like, as I suspected. Ah, yes. I knew this one. Which is a bit Nicolas Cagey in National Treasure, right?
Fair.
But luckily, knowledge was never the point. Like, that is set up with him being like, I know all this and no one believes me and I'd like to prove it. Like, at least that was the shtick. That it was like, no, I do know where everything is. I just need the opportunity to go and get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, National Treasure is a bit of fun, isn't it?
All right. So, yeah, eventually they pop out one end of this cryptex and they find some writing in it.
Sure.
And Robert Langdon goes, oh, I don't know what language that is. It looks Semitic, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
And then his other rich historian friend goes, I have no idea what language this is. And they debate for a long while. And Sophie isn't looking at it, but she's going, man, this must be really obscure if these two super important people can't figure this out.
Sure.
Now,
That's
once
a pig
again,
pen cipher.
I will say, this is, like I said, much harder in this copy because you can't zoom in. And it's like pictures don't work very well on this tablet.
Oh, okay, sure.
But that's what we got. I have no choice. I just have to assure you that in the hard copy version of the book,
Super obvious.
this was the easiest thing that I have ever seen.
This just sort of looks upside down, or maybe back to
It's
front.
backwards
sticking in the mirror.
writing.
Yeah,
That's
easy,
what
dude.
these people couldn't figure out.
Guys, one of you's a symbologist, and you can't think of backwards as a symbol. Backwardsness, famously used as a symbol for reversing.
So much. And not only that, a very Da Vinci associated
Yeah, Da
act.
Vinci specifically wrote. You know so much about this situation that you can name the descendant of Jesus living in the modern day. You already know who it is, but you don't know that Da Vinci liked to write mirror writing. Some symbologist you are.
But like I've said, it's
You
a little bit annoying to
draconian
read.
devil.
Even when they put it in the mirror, this is what it is now that they have mirrored it. This is what it is for real.
Yeah,
it's
still
kind of hard
really
to
quite
read. The
hard to
picture
read
quality just isn't great.
on this version.
But luckily they have it written in plain text as well. They repeat themselves a decent amount to make sure you don't forget anything.
Damn, we had to get to 700 pages.
Yeah. An ancient word of wisdom frees this scroll and helps us keep her scattered family whole. A headstone praised by Templars is the key, and Atbash will reveal the truth to thee.
That bash is a cipher.
Well, hold on. The cryptologist takes a while to remember where she's heard this word before, and the two men have to explain it to her.
Lovely. You professor of cryptology. Of course we'll tell you what the Atbash cipher... Why is she even there if they have to teach her what cryptology is? That's horrendous.
The last line, Sophie says that Atbash will reveal the truth. I've heard that word, Atbash. I'm not surprised, Langdon replied. You probably heard it in Cryptology 101. The Atbash cipher is one of the oldest codes known to man. Of course, Sophie thought.
You know
the famous Hebrew encoding system. The Atbash cipher had indeed been part of Sophie's cryptology training. The cipher dated back to 500 BC and blah, 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 blah.
I'm taking,
blah, blah.
you know what? Immediately, I've decided to take it back.
Oh?
This is a classic, like, actual academic versus, like, basic person, where the actual academic knows so much stuff that they're like, oh, there's these things and these things, and the one's like, I'm pretty sure this is basic biology, and they got to remind them of this fact they learned in high school, and they go, oh, yeah, God, I know so much about this. I'd forgotten.
That's what's been going on in all of the other things.
Absolutely, this is not different.
We can say this as cipher rookies. That is nonsense.
It's an Atbash cipher. Come on, you're a cryptologist. You know that. But the author made it seem like you didn't so that Robert Langdon could say something.
She can then go through an entire paragraph in her head explaining the entire history of this cipher before one of the men comes in and explains the other half of its history to her.
Would it be even better if he came in and explained the same half of the history? He just said it again. Like, that'd maybe be more accurate.
But now they have hit a problem.
Sure. What is the problem?
Where they've been told to use the Atbash cipher.
But they don't know on what.
Exactly.
The word.
Again, another interesting phenomenon in escape rooms sometimes.
Yet?
No.
Okay.
This is to figure out the code to the cryptex.
Okay.
And what they eventually figure out is that the...
It's the word of wisdom or whatever it said, right?
Yeah, they want a word of wisdom, and the headstone praised by Templars. Knights Templar, actually the...
good guys?
Quote-unquote good guys from the history of this story.
Can't be true. Can't be true. No one likes the Knights Templar.
This secret was how they got all their power.
I apologize to all our Maltese listeners.
Yeah, this secret that they're protecting was how they got all their power and such a strong position against the church.
You better give me Malta, or I'll tell everybody that kid over there is Jesus' great grandson.
That seems to be how it went.
No, don't say it. No one will believe in the church anymore. I'll give you Malta.
This is the interesting part. The church is really angry and wants to keep this secret. The secret society, it seems to be a little bit questioned throughout the book. Wait, why have they been keeping this secret? Are they planning on revealing this? What's the deal here?
Yeah, what's their plan?
Everyone seems to be in agreement to keep it secret.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of weird.
It's curious. They do try to explain it away, but it's definitely a weird underlying question for a lot of the book.
Yeah, sure.
What they eventually go with is that...
I mean, that's the classic of any sort of... big conspiracy. There's always like the question that usually unravels any conspiracy is, yeah, but why would anyone do that? Well, they're lying about the shape of the planet. You're like, yeah, but that's why.
I appreciate they don't want us to some of the characters do come up with speculations for what was going on and why this was happening, and it turns out they're just wrong. But so that's nice. Turns out that the headstone praised by Templars or whatever that they're looking for the word Baphomet.
Baphomet's a demon. Why would he be praised by Templars?
Oh, no, a demon. Pagan symbol of worship. I don't remember. It's...
All right, sure. All right, it's Baphomet.
And so because it's a Hebrew cipher, you take out all the vowels,
so you just get
Hebrew alphabet, and then you cipher it. And what you get out of that is Sophia, which... Yeah, sure, that's a name that means wisdom, I believe.
Great.
I think.
It's one of the characters' names.
And then Sophie immediately protests and says, but Sophia has 6 letters. And they go, my God, you are so stupid.
You can do it with an F.
It can have 5 letters.
You can have an F in it. Sophie.
So they open the cryptex with the word Sophia. And inside is another cryptex.
Yes! Yes! And then inside, wait, how many pages do I have to do? They want another 200 pages. There's another cryptex.
And so, yeah, I would say...
Also, you could have just broken the first cryptex, because the second cryptex can't be damaged by the vinegar.
No, there was a piece of paper. There's now a piece of paper inside that hints you to how to open this new cryptex.
Okay, you got me, Leo. Why is Leonardo da Vinci involved in any of this stuff? Why is he... around?
Because the entire art world also knew about this entire
Everybody knows
conspiracy.
this secret.
Every famous person who has ever existed was a member of this secret society, and they hid hints of it everywhere.
Why?
Every
Wait,
famous
why?
piece of art that has ever existed is actually solely about this secret, to the point where he literally says the Little Mermaid has red hair because Mary Magdalene had red hair. That is how deep this conspiracy goes.
But what's the conspiracy? Okay, every single human being who ever created any art for the last 500 years has known that Jesus had a kid.
Yep.
And that kid's hanging out in the world somewhere, and that all of Christianity is a lie.
Yep.
And they have decided collectively that they cannot reveal that secret for no real reason.
Because the world couldn't handle it and the church would be so mad.
But also they must preserve the secret
Yep.
because they do want to reveal it.
Yep.
And also, for a bit of fun, we'll just keep revealing it a little bit. Is that like showing their hand to is that like every time the church is like, I'm not going to give you $1 million pounds of gold. I'll not give you. I don't think you're going to reveal the secret. And then Hans Christian Andersen is just like, oh yeah? And he crosses out brown hair.
I'm sorry.
And he writes... What,
No, not Hans Christian Andersen, as in 1989 Disney.
Oh, okay. So Walt Disney's there, and he says, "You're not going to fund my studio, are you?" The Pope says, "I don't think you're going to reveal the secret, Disney. I don't think you have the guts." And then he picks up a picture of a black and white picture of Ariel, and he starts to draw red hair. And the Pope goes, "Oh no, please, okay, I'm sorry. Have everything you want, Disney." He's like, "That's right, but I'm keeping it in there just so you know I'm serious." That's the conceit of this. Is that how I understand the conspiracy correctly?
Honestly, as far as the book goes, they just say, oh yeah, man, these people and their japes and pranks and their little winks and nods.
Do you like my new painting? Oh, I do. Wait a minute. Have you included a little reference to Jesus' son Joseph? I have indeed.
All right, so we're now up to page 430, where they eventually reveal the next poem that is going to open the next cryptex for them.
Okay.
There are still well over 100 pages of book left.
Sure.
This is basically the final puzzle.
What is the final hint for the final cryptex? Is it still 5 letters?
This one is also 5 letters, yes.
Sophia. Grail.
They do try again.
Jesus.
To their credit, they
Jesus.
try.
Joses. Jesus' the son.
They
Joses.
try a lot of these
Okay.
things. It was a daughter, actually, Sarah.
Oh, Jesus.
And presumably they try that too. In London lies a knight, a pope interred, his labour's fruit, a holy wrath incurred. You seek the orb that ought be on his tomb. It speaks of rosy flesh and seeded womb.
Who wrote this?
Who wrote
this hint?
Oh, this is all her grandfather, I'm pretty sure. Like, he made the cryptexes and everything.
Again, write in French dude. You don't speak this language. I mean, obviously you do. You're writing hints in it, but who for? Why didn't it's American essential whatever. It's in the whole world.
No, there's a flashback
American
scene
point
where
of
he
view.
tells his granddaughter that she should speak French at school and English at home for reasons.
Sure. So you understand my cryptexes later.
It's because they've got to go to England at some point at this point. So English is totally important.
Sure. Okay. So what was it again? There's a
There you
pope.
go.
There's a pope who was a knight buried
Not-
somewhere.
Well,
In London lies a knight, a pope interred. Oh wait, a pope interred the knight?
that's what it sounds like.
His labour's fruit, a holy wrath incurred. He did something and God was like, no. Or the Pope was like, no, don't do that, knight. I'm going to inter you in this tomb. You seek the orb that ought to be on his tomb, but ain't. It speaks of rosy flesh and seeded womb. So again, he's writing this note being like, did you know that Jesus had a kid? And yeah.
Again, you are doing exactly what the characters have
All right,
done,
okay, I'll
which
do
is
it properly.
interesting. You are being overburdened by knowledge.
Well, I don't know a knight who has an orb about babies. I don't know a knight with a baby orb.
Why are you assuming babies?
Seeded womb.
Interesting. Just look at that last line on its own and treat it like a regular riddle.
It speaks of rosy flesh and seeded womb. It's an apple.
It's an apple. The answer is apple. We'll find that out in 150 pages.
Yeah, it's an apple.
It takes them...
So it's the Apple Knight. It's Johnny Appleknight? Is it Sir Appleknight? Is it the London figure Sir Appleknight? The
if
knight
you
who
can
had
think
apples?
of who actually
Oh,
is
yeah, 'cause
Sir Apple Knight.
His labour's fruit, a holy wrath incurred.
Mm.
Because when they ate an apple, that was bad. So this is a
Well-
knight who loved apples. Sir Apple. Wait, what's it? Cavendish. Sir Cavendish. No, that Cavendish is banana. Hold on. Cavendish is banana. Granny Smith. Who's a knight? Was it Sir Red Delicious?
Don't think too hard about the knight part. Everyone's a knight.
Sure. Who loved apples? Who's
And
the apple guy?
was not particularly liked by the church, potentially.
Did Galileo like Newton? Newton loved apples. I guess.
And just for fun, friends and possibly interred in the story by Alexander Pope.
Oh, I like that. That's great
Cryptic
fun.
crossword.
You know what? Hey, man, good work. Good little puzzle. You know what? I didn't like it when you were crawling around the floor of the Louvre, putting blood everywhere and then mopping it up with your own clothes, but that's a good little puzzle.
But it is fascinating that it takes these people 150 pages to do that, to the point where...
It's because they're on the run,
It's
Dan.
an interesting
Can't
point.
think, they're on the run.
There are kidnappings,
they're on the
shootings,
run.
all sorts of things going on at this stage. But at one point, Langdon and Sophie decide, let's go to King's Library. That's where all the scholarship on this topic is done. This is where Holy Grail research gets done. They go there. They just say, hey, can we use your catalogue to like search for knights and popes and things? And the woman behind the counter says, you're on a grail hunt? Yeah, we get those a lot. Everyone knows everything about this.
And then she says, do you want my books about Jesus' kid? Jesus' daughter Sarah? Because I got a whole book about how that's true.
I don't know.
Hey, don't tell anybody though. It's a secret. I'm also part of the secret society.
Okay, I need to tell you exactly how true like this almost
Every time
is.
I check out a book, I draw a little picture of Jesus having sex. That's how I get the secret out into the world without really getting it out. That's what we do in this secret society. Do you know every letter is about us? It says P.S. That's all about. You know that movie P.S. I Love You? That's all about us and loving conspiracy.
All right, so let's go through exactly what this librarian, who totally knows who Robert Langdon is, and just say, we're trying to find a tomb in London.
Okay.
There's about 20,000 of those.
Give me a shot in the list.
Oh, it's the tomb of a knight.
All right, there's about 10,000 of those.
Right. And, they give her the first 2 lines of the poem. They don't want to show her the whole thing because they've got to be careful. And she looks at that and says, you're doing a Harvard treasure hunt or something, I see.
Oh, you do the MIT mystery hunt. Did Da Vinci Code invent puzzle hunts?
Possibly. But then eventually they show her the whole thing because they're still getting thousands of hits in their system for all of the keywords that they're searching. And then she goes, you're friends with Lee Teabing, you're in England, you're looking for a knight. I can only assume you're on a grail quest. My friends, this library is a base camp for grail seekers, Lee Teabing among them. I wish I had a shilling for every time I'd run searches for Rose, Mary Magdalene, Sangrail, Merovingian Priory of Sion, etc., etc.
She knows all. They didn't need to do any of the book. Everybody. Okay, I've got a new pitch.
It's the worst kept secret
I've got a new pitch for
world.
Da Vinci Code. They find the body in the Louvre, and they go, oh my God. And they see the UV lighting, and they go, oh my God. So they turn to the nearest Frenchman, and they say, what's going on with this? And he says, Monsieur, I believe this is all about the fact that Jesus had a daughter. Her name was Sarah. There's a whole secret society that has been protecting
I have the
this.
family tree on my wall.
In fact, in my wallet right here, I have pictures of Jesus' daughter. Do you like? She's so cute. In fact, just over there. Hello, Jacques. Hello. Jacques there is Jesus' great granddaughter, cousin. So if you talk to him, he will take you straight to Jesus. Oh, thank you. What do I need? What do I owe you? Nothing. I am part of a secret society. It is my duty to tell everybody. Oh, be careful. There's a character. He's been shooting people in their stomach. Don't run into him.
We haven't even gone into why all that's like what's going on with all of that.
It's that everybody knows about
quite
Jesus'
something.
daughter.
Well, it turns out that the leader of the secret organization, they get betrayed by a friend who was doing it because he believed that the secret society and the curator himself, as the head of the secret society, was meant to reveal it to the world right about the new millennium, but had chickened out because the church got to him. And so I'm going on a killing spree that I can reveal the secret, which, again, he has published books about himself.
Yeah, just tell, what more can you do? You've revealed the secret. You published the books. Everybody's revealed the secret. Every artist in history has revealed the secret, and you can do the same. Just tell people. What are you doing shooting everybody? I need the evidence. I need the smoking gun. It's just going to be a piece of paper that says Jesus had a kid. That's it. There's nothing, there's no secret. Evidence.
To which basically, at one point, they explain to her these documents that are probably hidden somewhere with family trees, and she essentially says, "Well, there'd be no providence on that. No one's going to believe that." And Robert Langdon basically says, "Isn't that all of history?" And Sophie had never thought of that.
Oh, of course not. Of course not. She's just a girl. She's just a girl. She'd
was
never
a
thought about that.
So in the end, after a very long time and pretending to smash the cryptex and lose the secret, so the bad guy, blah, 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 bad guy gets arrested. He opens it up. He realized that it was just Apple and that they were looking for Isaac Newton's tomb.
Oh, Apple was the code?
Apple is the code.
So you didn't even need to go to the tomb. You could
No,
have just figured it out
I
way back
told
there
you
and just
that
read it
this
and tried
book
Apple.
only has actually about 3 locations. You could have gone to the Louvre, gone to the bank to get the cryptex, and then
solved
gone to the
everything.
bones
Yeah,
of
good,
Mary
great.
Magdalene
Yeah, you just
if you had wanted to.
Yep, okay, easy, good.
But in the end, there's another poem that seems like it is going to a location sort of near Edinburgh
Sure.
and saying this is where the remains are hidden. And to which Robert Langdon goes, well, this is very strange because this is a very famous place. This is where everybody believes the Holy Grail is buried. And it's a big tourist trap.
Absolute what is wrong? You know where the Holy Grail is.
It's okay. The Holy Grail is
Who
not
cares
there.
about the Holy Grail? We're looking for Sarah.
It was once there. Well, again, Mary Magdalene's bones and the proof of Sarah's existence are the Holy Grail. But yeah, so then the woman who works at this tourist trap basically says, oh yeah, it probably was here once, but when people started paying attention to it, it got moved somewhere. Oh, by the way, I'm secretly Sophie's grandmother. Her family was only half murdered.
Why? How did
Because
this
secret
happen?
societies, Billy.
Why is your grandmother here? Does she care?
Oh, yeah,
That's good.
That's
At least-
Sophie's ending.
okay, at least she cares.
She gets her ending there.
My grandmother. Thank you so much.
It's only like the end of the book before the epilogue is the grandmother saying to Robert Langdon, well, yeah, I know where it is. You'll figure it out one day.
That's the end of the book?
Well, no, because we get the epilogue of him figuring it out.
One day,
And
sure.
going, oh, yes, this new one.
and
I haven't even bothered
Is
reading
it
you
that
this last
Sophie
one.
is the is
Oh,
it that Sophie
By the way,
is the
yes, his research was total crap. They are absolutely the descendants of Jesus. When he said, no, you're not, he was just wrong. Because the family, they changed their name somewhere along the line wildly.
What, he assumed they didn't change their name in 2,000 years? Ah, well, 2,000 years ago, the surname was of Nazareth, and your surname is Bethany. How could that be? Jesus' daughter, who would have changed her name immediately, didn't have your surname. So how could you have that surname? Oh, it doesn't seem right, you idiot girl. Stick to cryptology, which I know best.
Oh, but yeah, so in the epilogue, Robert Langdon just mysteriously wakes up one night or day and says, wait a second, I totally understand now. The last cryptic clue, it might have faintly mentioned some triangles if you squint really, really hard.
Okay, sure.
You know, like the pyramid at the Louvre. It's the Louvre.
What's the Louvre?
Where the tomb is secretly buried. And that's the end of the book.
So it's setting up for a sequel where he goes to the tomb?
No, he goes there.
Oh.
And he goes, it's here.
And what? Who care? Like, do we care? He found her bones?
He has a semi-religious experience as he finds the bones of the woman that the society worshipped.
What?
It's a very
Who
happy
cares?
moment.
What? There's no... That's the end?
That's the end.
He just knows where the bones are.
Yeah, he goes there and he gets
nobody
on his knees and prays to them.
Who cares about the bones? What's happening? Are we revealing the secret that she...
Well, actually, you know what? They've all sort of decided that it's better off to leave it as just sort of this mystical story for the world to follow in their own different ways. Like, who really needs proof? It means so many things to so many different people. Better off to just leave it in art and songs and things.
I'm burning down the Louvre, everybody. I'm burning the Louvre to the ground.
So,
if you find out in the next year or so that the Louvre has been burned to the ground, call the police, tell them it was Bill Sunderland.
Yeah,
I'm burning the Louvre down.
They have this dilemma about whether to reveal it to the world or whether to keep it secret, and they decide, let's just keep hinting it in art.
You
That is the solution.
Absolute freaks. I hate you all. What a
Except he's still
ridiculous
totally
book.
writing his book.
He's still writing the book.
He is absolutely still going to write his book.
Hey, everyone.
Oh.
The Da Vinci Code's a stupid book.
This
What
was
the
not.
hell?
This was not intended to be a let's trash this book sort of thing. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to explore the relevance to this in escape rooms.
I can see
But
the
it is also
relevance.
funny to narrate the experience of the
Hell.
book. Ah.
Okay. Well, aside from all of the book, the puzzles are a bit of fun.
How does this make you feel about Da Vinci-esque themed escape rooms?
Honestly, I think they're all better than the Da Vinci Code.
Well, it is.
Because they'd usually just be like, Da Vinci invented some weird thing. Let's be in his workshop and look at all of his secrets and stuff. And it was just basically, Da Vinci can invent stuff, and he's a bit of a rascal. He's a bit of a guy. He's a woohoo. I hid my invention in a little box, and then I wrote on the box how to open the box, but I wrote it in code. You'll never know how to open my little box. Okay, you will. I've written how to open the box in a different code.
There's
in a different
definitely
book.
I feel like Da Vinci themed rooms tend to go in two directions. One is he was secretly a magic man who invented perpetual motion. You have to find it.
Classic. I love that.
Or it is about the Da Vinci Code, and this is going to be much more difficult because it turns out the moral of the Da Vinci Code is less trying to find something and more trying to give people a holistic experience of being happy and like being religious without the religion, just some sort of spiritual feeling. And achieving that is much harder in an escape room.
Yeah. I think. I was going to say apotheosis. It's not apotheosis. Having a transcendent experience is maybe a little bit out of the scope for an escape room.
There are some that definitely try, but as soon as an
That's
escape room gets described as an experience, I tend to get worried because when I'm doing puzzles, I'm emotionally dead inside. That's not what I'm here for. I want to solve puzzles.
Hear that, everybody? You only ever hear Dani when she's doing puzzles, solving puzzles, writing about puzzles. You've never had an emotional Dani in your entire life. You got no idea.
I like emotional storytelling and things like that. It just so happens that in an escape room setting, I am not very receptive to it.
Fair enough. Well, I don't know what this. You know what? I don't know what the final takeaway from this episode is. But just like the Da Vinci Code, maybe it doesn't have one.
I mean, look, I will just argue exactly as we did at the start. Escape rooms took a lot from this.
Yeah.
It's actually impressive.
Yeah,
And
that
I
is
wonder
true.
if this didn't exist. I've never read another one of Dan Brown's books. This is the only one that I've ever read, which is odd. I'm not sure why that is.
Because you didn't like it.
Maybe
Maybe you loved it. You read
as a
it whole-
13-year-old, I
over and over
really
again.
liked
So why
it.
didn't you read
I
Angels
was
and
into
Demons?
it. I read other materials. I watched documentaries about it when people were all in on the conspiracies.
Wow. Why
Like-
didn't you ever read Angels and Demons?
That one felt churchier somehow, and I wasn't interested. No, I don't know. I just never had access to it in an easy, free way, so I never bothered.
All right, fair enough.
It's
Wasn't it your local
very
library?
lazy. Oh, I assume it was, but just I don't know. Clearly, was only engaging on a very limited scope.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm glad to have talked about it. It was interesting to see all the puzzles and the cryptexes and the codes and the riddles and things like that. It was a bit of fun. They were interesting codes. I still think Del Toro Quest is a better escape room than all of Da Vinci Code. I think that Del Toro Quest escape room was more like an escape room. But I think escape rooms don't realize that, and they're just borrowing from the Da Vinci Code.
How essential do you feel poems are to the escape room experience?
Oh.
Because both series find them
Well, look, to be
quite
fair,
important.
based on the medium, putting a poem in a book is probably much more relevant. You're not drawing many pictures and creating a visual landscape. You know?
Del Toro Quest certainly
It
did.
does, but you can't do it too much. So poems, I think,
This one
just 'cause it's a
also,
written medium.
that said, this one also loved doing things like saying, oh yes, pentacle, like because 5 is a symbol of femininity. So iambic pentameter, oh yep, all of the great poets use that because they're also goddess worshippers. So the use of poetry like that was very
See,
intentional.
That feels almost anti-escape room. If you were in an escape room and said like, well, there was a 5-pointed star on the wall, so why didn't you think to reread that poem, which is in iambic pentameter? You'd be like, hey, escape room designer, bad.
Well, see, that's the
Bad
thing.
place.
It's never important. These are all just tidbits that Robert Langdon
Just
has,
'cause he already
exploding
knows.
out of him every paragraph. This is most of the book.
So you said there were 3 locations. There's 1 location, and it's the Louvre. He should have never left.
It's true. He found a body at the Louvre. He should have found a body at the Louvre.
Yeah.
That was the whole point.
Yeah, there was 1 more body at the Louvre for you to find.
That was the message all along. Hey, you see how I've left my body in the Louvre?
Yeah.
You get that,
You see
right?
how I am dead and I am in the Louvre? And the symbol of a
I've
woman?
written stuff. There is written stuff next to me.
If you pull the Mona Lisa off the wall, there's actually just a note behind it that says, dig down for Magdalene. That's what he wanted you to see.
Ah.
And he'd forgotten he'd already written a different note. That was from 2 weeks ago. He wrote a separate note on the Mona Lisa's front.
Mm.
PS stands for please search. And it means the body is here in the Louvre.
Perfect.
There are so many triangles in the world. You think it's only the Louvre? Like, even
No, that's
idea
the thing. Oh, that's why nobody has ever been able to solve these. They keep using things like, oh no, we've got to find a knight. We've got to find something with a rose on it. I have searched every rose in Western Europe, and I haven't found it. Darn. Things like that. So yeah, it is specific. It is very much stated as these symbols where if you don't know exactly which one he's talking about, you will never find it. Which I suppose that's a way to keep a secret, but
ridiculous. Well, thank you everybody for listening. I hope you enjoyed our weird little book club for 2 episodes. If you liked it, let us know. Send us a message, send us an email,
maybe you got other books that have puzzles in them that I can quickly read.
If you like us discussing books.
But you'll have to be warned, don't pick one that you like too much, just in case.
Just in case. But yeah, if you maybe we'll start a whole new podcast called Read This Book. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we will.
I do find this just a fun bit of proof that I read Del Toro Quest a couple of years before I read this, and you would think that I would hold similar levels of happy nostalgia.
But
I am not someone who sits back and rests on happy nostalgia to determine something's quality.
Good.
But I'm also I didn't read this book going into it saying, oh yeah, I know everyone trashes the writing. Let's go into it looking for things to trash.
No.
Like, I tried to be very fair, and I think, like, writing-wise, I was very fair. But, like, I thought that flow-wise, it was generally pretty good. Occasional moments of head-hopping, which I wasn't crazy about. He goes seamlessly into and out of flashbacks in a way that you'd think would be jarring, but I think he actually pulled it off really well.
Nice.
But then I gotta find this line.
Danny's looking for a bad line, out of context.
I mentioned the whole phi conversation and about where it appears in nature. So he's describing to one of his students who is a biology major, he knows these things, about how it appears in nature. So he says, hey, number in a beehive, the female bees always outnumber the male bees. And what's the ratio when you deal that with? Which apparently may have some hint of truth to it.
Okay, fine.
That phi ends up in there. But to which Langdon says, yeah, about that. And here's another example. He puts a slide on the wall of a spiral seashell. And he says, do you recognize this? And the bio major responds, it's a nautilus, a cephalopod mollusk that pumps gas into its chambered shell to adjust its buoyancy.
That's not how a human being talks.
As
a
biology
major.
major.
Would ever talk. Doesn't matter if you're a biology major. That's not how you talk.
Fascinating for myself as a biology major and a human.
Yeah.
It was quite a line.
Yeah, lovely. All right, thank you everybody for listening. I hope you enjoyed our bonus episode. Two more coming, and then back to real business. That's it. That's the end of my thing. If if you want to spread the word, get ready for the next season, start to plan a listening party. When the first episode of the next season comes out, get as many people together as you can. All listen. People who've never listened to the show, and have a big party. That's the plan. On the 31st, I think, 30th, 31st of
something like that
of July, the next season will start. So have a giant listening party, and if you want, tell us in advance that you're going to have it, and I'll say thank you in advance. All right, thank you, everybody. Goodbye.